There is never a downside for taking responsibility for your experience. And this paradigm goes very much in alignment to law number 9 of Raymond Hollingwell's 11 Laws of Success, in understanding the interpretation that law of sacrifice is one of those things where people hear sacrifice and they have it like has a negative connotation. Hell, you may be feeling as though you are living and sacrificing a lot right now, today, whether it's because you have children, you have a job, you have a long distance relationship or a relationship that you're trying to develop, right? Like we all have the interpretation that we can say, well, yeah, a lot of sacrifices go into my day. And if we really catapult it and apply it to the last couple weeks, the 7 mindset shifting questions, then last week talking about how resistance will always overcome, persistence will always overcome resistance, but then also taking into account that your attitude designs and develops your altitude. And at the end of the day, your experience is your responsibility. No one can control your experience and your lifestyle and your relationships and your reality other than you. So when we think about the law of sacrifice, it is one of those things where we want to talk about or acknowledge that the law or the beginning of the wisdom is the love for discipline. Discipline gets a bad rap as well, much like sacrifice. But if you think about it, those who are disciplined really are passionate and rigid around creating the lifestyle, the reality, and the experiences that they want. Discipline isn't something that someone just like naturally has. It's a choice, it's a commitment, and it's about having that discipline and that focus to create that in which you want. So whatever you want to achieve is going to be a narrow road, regardless of what it is. And I feel that whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you want a successful marriage, whether you want a thriving professional career, you're going to have a narrow road. And that is the point that I'm wanting to make and associating it to sacrifice. A lot of the times people think that they have to sacrifice a lot to get to where they want. And it's not necessarily about having to sacrifice a lot, but it's understanding that the wisdom starts with the love for discipline, and that whatever you want is going to be a narrow road. So go into it looking at it like that, because then the sacrifices won't necessarily be as detrimental or like suffocating or objective and rejected, like to where you're not missing out on it. And then another thing that when it comes to the law of sacrifice that I wanted to also apply and invite you to think about is not only stop complaining with what you're allowing, but more importantly, being aware of like giving up something of a lower nature to receive something of a higher nature. When it comes to sacrificing, understanding that we only have a specific amount of bandwidth, energy, love, attention, focus in that in which we intentionally apply, right? I mean, energy, love, gratitude, money, it's all abundant, but we get to like wire ourselves to believe that and live from that space. But also when it comes to taking responsibility for your experience, stop complaining about what it is you're allowing. Understand that what it is you want is going to be a narrow road, and that it takes uncanny, resilient, relentless discipline in order to create it. It's going to feel like a narrow road. But also the practice of you're not quote unquote sacrificing something if you look at it as a space of, all right, I'm going to give up something of lower nature to create space and allow something of higher nature to come in. And just think about it. If you lived and you applied this, if you really like took this and you applied this to the way you think, the way you communicate, the way you execute work, the way you relate, the way you build your business, what would change? Even if you apply the understanding of stop complaining with what you're allowing, what would change for you? What action do you need to go do right now?